Good evening. My name is Buffy. I'm a women's lifestyle creator on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And today we are talking about the weight people never see. Chapter 1, the myth of effortless strength. No one, and I mean no one, has effortless strength. Because guess what? To be strong, you have to exert effort. To be strong, you have to set your mindset. To be strong, you have to have your mind made up that you're doing this regardless of how hard it is, how painful it is, how crushing it is. And I can tell you right now, I know I've talked about this a lot recently, but the loss of both of my grandparents within a 12-month period about broke me. And that is honest, and that is truthful, and that is as blunt as I can be. It has crushed me. It has caused me to have chest pains. No, I'm not having a heart attack. There's something actually called broken heart syndrome. And it's extremely difficult to deal with because when I go back and I think about that, it is extremely difficult to deal with. And I'm starting to kind of tear up now. Sorry, guys. But it is one of the hardest things I've ever done. I mean, it's almost like, when you love someone so much, you never expect them to leave. And then when they leave, it's almost like somebody slapped you across the face, or they lambasted you with a 2x4, and you're like, how did this happen? And so they were very, very important to me. They were two people that I loved very, very, very much. They were always there. And so I keep finding myself thinking that I'm going to go to my grandfather's house and talk to him again. For the longest, my baby, who was 3, was talking about seeing Papa. She's talked about him every single day. And so that can be kind of difficult. So kind of like a knife in the heart at some points. The other thing is we got to think about the other aspect of weight. We need to think about invisible burdens. Some people are carrying invisible burdens, whether it's dealing with financial issues, whether it's dealing with the downturned economy, whether it's dealing with a child with special needs, or dealing with responsibilities you have that you can't seem to get the strength to muster to work through those. Whether it's family issues, whether it's a potential divorce looming, any number of things. There's certain things that people can't see, or you have an autoimmune disease, or you have a devastating medical diagnosis. Those things can be things that weigh on you heavily. And oftentimes, unless you choose to share that with other people, they're not going to know. And ultimately, let's talk about chapter 3, why high achievers rarely ask for help. High achievers rarely ask for help because they don't want to be shamed. They don't want to feel like they're not as smart as people have thought that they are. They're not as strong as people thought that they are. They don't want to risk being essentially emasculated or made to feel like they're less than. And I totally understand that. People enjoy being known as a high achiever, a successful person, a person who gets things done. And I'll be honest, it takes a lot for me to open up to someone and ask for help. It can be difficult. I know that is likely a trauma response, as I like to do things on my own. I like to not share a lot of things with a lot of people. That's just who I am, who I've always been. I might try to get through it on my own. And that's generally what happens, So chapter 4, grief doesn't pause responsibilities. And I can be the first to tell you that. I'm currently in the middle of an estate issue, trying to finish my grandfather's estate, and it has been extremely difficult. It has been kind of reopening the grief over and over again. He actually had an inoperable brain tumor, and he got diagnosed, I think, on the 8th or the 9th, and he passed away on the 29th of May. So yeah, that was very sudden. He at least passed at home, so that was okay, but it's still difficult. So you still have, if you have children, you got to take care of your children, you got to take care of your spouse, you got to take care of all the things that aren't stopping, right? You can't just pause everything and hope that it'll go back to normal, because it ultimately won't. And grief has some very nasty side effects, such as fatigue, chest pains I've mentioned, anxiety, crying, just being like hopeless almost in certain areas, just feeling sad and missing that person and wanting to see that person. And it never really goes away, right? I don't think it does. I mean, I think it gets a little bit better, but it's still difficult. And then part 5, the emotional weight of caregiving. Caregiving can be extremely difficult, especially depending on who you're caregiving. Are you caregiving a person who is dealing with mobility issues? Are you dealing with a person who's struggling with cancer? Are you dealing with a spouse? Are you dealing with a child? Like, who are you dealing with? And I think that that can make a big difference. Are you dealing with an elderly parent that you're trying to caregive and take care of? And there is a lot of emotional weight. You have to be calm. You have to be collected. You have to do a lot of caregiving and knowing that literally the road to caregiving is ultimately going to come to an end. And then you're going to deal with the grief and the stress and all of that, unless there's able to be a full recovery. And so the other thing you need to know is boundaries aren't selfish. Boundaries are there to protect you. They're not there to keep other people out. They're not a brick wall. People can still get to you. But ultimately, boundaries are not selfish. They're there to protect you from being overextended, being overused, being any number of things that will violate or potentially victimize you in some way. And let's talk about biblical examples of resilience. For instance, I mean, you think about Jesus. I mean, the fact that he actually endured the cross for us is an amazing story. Amazing. And then the fact that he was resurrected 3 days after, and he came to all these people. So there are accounts of that. And I just think that his resilience, his love for us, and how strong he was, I mean, that had to be extremely difficult. And if you read anything about crucifixion, you know how brutal it is. And I just can't imagine that our Father would do that for us, right? And so boundaries aren't selfish. Boundaries are necessary. And so also, you know, I do think that Jesus was very resilient. I think that he did a lot of things that showed us that courage can do a lot of things, that courage can definitely move mountains, and that faith can move mountains, which is extremely important. If you're big into your faith, then it's definitely important to just keep riding the course. The other thing that's really important, and I talked about this earlier, is learning to receive help. Learning to receive help is so important because no person is meant to be an island. No person is meant to be isolated. No person is meant to be lonely or sad or frustrated without anyone to help them. Everybody needs a helping hand. Everybody needs a friend to look after them when they're struggling. Everybody needs that moment where they feel like they belong in a community, in a group, a village, right? And it's okay to ask for help because everyone needs help at some point or another. Maybe you can help someone one time and maybe they can help you another time. Don't be embarrassed to ask for help, especially if you really, really need help. You shouldn't be ashamed by that, especially for people who are supposed to care for you and supposed to look out for you or want to look out for you. And ultimately, building sustainable strength, you can do it. The things that we think are hard today will be easier tomorrow because we learn, we grow, we build. The things that once used to terrify us now seem super easy to us. I don't know why that is, but that just kind of has a way of happening. I never would have thought that I would have done some of the things that I've done, but it worked out. And honestly, just allow yourself to continue walking forward with grace. Because Jesus offers us all grace. He knows we're not going to be perfect. He knows we're going to stumble. He knows who we are at our heart and our core. And if we repent and we ask for forgiveness, he gives us the grace. And I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in to Recovering Perfectionist Mama, Grace in Progress. My name is Buffy. If you got value in this, please feel free to like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. And know that I have a bunch of deep dives. I have over 1,500 videos on Recovering Perfectionist Mama if you're looking for deep dive psychology. And then also I have about 300 or so videos for Grace and Gavel, Where Truth Meets Compassion, as I'm an almost 18-year criminal defense attorney. And feel free to check that out as well. So I just want to say thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and hopefully you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye-bye.